Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
म्यूचुअल फंड सही है. म्यूचुअल फंड सही हो. म्यूचुअल फंड सही हो.
As YouTube denied to provide me with ads, I thought of starting my own. Just kidding guys, so welcome to my channel. This is your host Bivek, and as our today's topic is based on mutual fund, so the short intro that you saw is in reference to the advertisement that we get to see about mutual fund. And basically today's video is divided into two parts, where in the first part you'll understand what is mutual fund, why is it important for us to invest into it, and how does it work. Whereas in the second part you'll get to know about how to start with mutual fund and how a student and how a job professional can start with a minimum amount to get a good returns in the near future. So until then, stay tuned. And by the way, for regular updates on business, finance, stocks and entrepreneurship related videos, hitting that like, share and subscribe button is also sahi hai. So here we go guys. So to invest into equity market or commodities markets such as gold, silver and stocks through an AMC, that is group of expertise and professional, also known as asset management company, is known as mutual fund investing. So in order to invest into stocks and commodities, we're required to have a good study about the fundamentals and technical background of the company that we are putting our money on. Moreover, we need to keep records of the daily outgoings of the company and the news that is surrounding over it, so that we don't lose our money in the process. But this in turn is highly time consuming and effort taking process, and as we all know that most of us, we don't have such time to know all these things and to keep records and whatnot. So at that time, mutual fund comes to the work. Now, which makes it simple for the new as well as the defensive investor to follow the dollar cost averaging rule, which Dr. Graham has mentioned in his world-class leading book on investing, that is Intelligent Investor, where the dollar cost averaging rule means to put aside a small portion of amount so that you regularly invest it into the market despite of the fluctuation in the market. So after you choose mutual fund, now you don't need to pick stocks by yourself, but just the fund that you want to invest on, whether it be a regular fund or a growth fund or a debt fund. It depends on your investment types, and also to fix amount that you want to invest on it, whether it be on a regular basis or once in a while, which is also known as lump sum. So as you start investing into mutual fund, now what happens is the amount that you invested goes to the AMC of that particular fund, that is the asset management team of that fund, and whereby the fund is directed towards the fund manager, where he manages and invests those funds into a good and preferred stocks so that we can get a good amount of return in the near future. So this is how the AMC of the fund that you have chosen manages and invests into the stocks on your behalf. And do not forget that they do charge some fees over it, the invested amount, and while we save our time, on the other side our investment continues to grow. So talking about AMCs, there are about 44 AMCs in our country, which on an average market scenario has provided with 25 to 30% of annual returns over the best performing funds, whereas the worst performing funds has not given below 8% to 10% in this recent years. So this is the reason why most of the people prefer mutual fund over RDs or FDs, which provide with only 6 to 7% of annual return. Now you might be thinking, how does this mutual fund work and how are shares allotted to us? So one of the most important thing to understand out here is we do not get the quantity of stocks, but we are given out the units of it. That can be 1 unit, that can be 2 unit, which depends upon your investment type. So why does this happens is due to the huge variation in the prices of the stocks. For example, one stock of Vodafone Idea Limited could cost you around 4 rupees, then one stock of iShare Motor could cost you around 25,000 rupees. Also that one stock of MRF could cost you around 65,000 rupees. So there is a huge difference in the stocks prices. So this is the reason why we are allotted with units. So let's say for example you started your investment into mutual fund with an initial amount of 1,000 rupees, and among with you there are about 100 of such investors investing into a particular mutual fund. So the total amount that the mutual fund receives will be about 1 lakh, and with 1 lakh the fund manager of that AMC could invest it into Eicher Motor or MRF, the high-end stocks, which in our terms would be impossible for us to invest with 1000 rupees. So this is how we get units, not quantity of stocks, and also that we become the mutual shareholder of that stock, and this is how the word mutual fund is also derived from. So as we understood what is mutual fund and how does it work, now it's time for us to understand why to invest into it, or why do you even care to know about it. So the first thing to mark out here is that mutual fund investment is always based on long-term goals, or it is associated with a long-term perspective. For example, it can be about buying a beautiful house from 10 years from now, or it can be about your daughter's educational plan, or it can be about your retirement plan. So it is always related with a long-term goal. Also, not to forget that there is a high chance of making only a small amount of returns if we invest it only for a short period of time, say for a year or 3 years bracket, so in which the RDs and FDs do better than mutual funds. So it is always worthwhile for you to put aside a small portion of your amount that you can afford to invest for, say, about 5 years, 10 years or 15 years from now, so that it can end up giving you a surprising figure or create a huge amount of wealth for you in the near future. So this is why we invest into mutual fund, for a long-term goal. So always remember, when you invest into mutual fund, you keep a long-term goal and fix the amount that you can afford to invest for 10 years from now. So this was all about mutual fund for basics part 1, and in part 2 you'll understand how to invest into it for student as well as for job professionals. So if this video was helpful enough, then don't forget to smash that like button and turning on your bell notifications, because that's what motivates creator like us to bring more of these contents for you. So until then, thank you so much. See you in the next video. Bye bye.